recap of AEW Dynamite. This was not any ordinary edition of Dynamite. This was a special tribute to the late John Huber, aka Brodie Lee, aka Luke Harper. Let's go ahead and digest what we just saw. A very emotional night, and I will just say this right off the bat, it was beautiful. It was a great tribute to him, very fitting, reminded me of the tribute shows that WWE did for Owen Hart and Eddie Guerrero. Very similar way the show was structured. We'll talk about it here. Shout out to the chat room. Cindy's here tonight. If you guys have any memories of Brodie Lee / Luke Harper that you would like to share in the chat room, feel free to do so, and I will read off some of the comments as we move along with this recap. I will not be doing a letter grade. It was a great show. You should check it out. End of story. Anyways, for those of you wanting to know the details of what happened, we started off with everybody on stage, what you would expect from a tribute show. Everybody was out there. JR kicked it off saying, "It's Wednesday." You know what that means. The Brodie Lee line that was also used on Raw. They did the 10 bell salute, and immediately we saw Brodie's wife and kids right there in the center, and I already lost it at that point. When they showed the kids, that was already too much for me. We had Jon Moxley do a pre-taped promo, and his return was supposed to be on this show. This was supposed to be night one of the New Year's Smash AEW Dynamite special, but his official return will be next week, his in-ring return. He did a pre-taped promo. He talked about the incredible outpouring of support. He talked about 2020, how it has hit us all very hard. But he said wrestling is a community, and when the chips are down, everybody supports everybody. He said it's time to rise and celebrate the life of a great human. And he said he appreciates the people around him, and he appreciates every sunrise and sunset. Every day is a gift. And he said every day he had with Brodie was special, and he's grateful for that. And he said that he loves Brodie and he will never forget him. Tony H with the $2 super chat. Thank you, Tony. He says, been a bit great show by AEW tonight. R.I.P. Brodie. Thank you again, Tony. And Paul Jackson with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Paul. He says, my thoughts and prayers go out to John Huber's wife, Amanda, and their 2 sons. Very emotional night for sure. R.I.P. Brodie. And Cindy said the Moxley promo was beautifully said. Thank you for that, Cindy. We had our first match of the evening. So the theme of this show, matches that Brodie Lee's son, Brodie Lee Jr., referred to as -1. The Dark Order, they all have the numbers. He's -1. He made the matches and especially put together a main event of guys that he wanted to see, his dream match. That was the main event. The opening match was Private Party teaming up with Matt Hardy. Of course, they're together as a group, up against the Young Bucks and the Dark Order's Colt Cabana. And the idea was that for one night only, the Dark Order would coexist with guys that they have had issues with in the past. And the theme of this show, all the matches featured at least one member of the Dark Order. We had a little bit of a recap, which was a nice touch, of the history between Private Party and the Young Bucks. So you actually had a storyline reason for this match with the history of the people involved. You had Chris Jericho out there doing color commentary, and Jericho said it's okay to cry if you want to. Cry, damn it. That's what he said. And Colt was losing it. Colt Cabana came out and he was getting emotional. Everybody had the Brodie Lee armbands. Colt did some offense, and Fun match here. Nick Jackson hit a twist of fate onto Matt. We got a little bit of back and forth between Matt Hardy and the Bucks. They have history as well. You had Private Party hit the gin and juice to Nick, but then it got broken up, and lots of high impact moves, stuff that you would expect out of these guys. Cassidy did a swanton bomb. Quinn hit a shooting star press, but the pin got broken up. And then Matt Hardy went for a chair. So they did keep a little bit of a storyline here with Matt Hardy wanting to bend the rules a little bit. Quinn did not want to cheat. And then Matt ended up getting knocked off the apron by Cabana. Matt and Nick hit the Indie Taker to Quinn, and then Colt Cabana scored the pinfall victory. Dark Order picks up the first win of the evening. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, R.I.P. John Huber, FUCK 2020, -1, a future star. It sure seems that way, and apparently AEW has given him a contract, and when he turns 18, he'll be able to wrestle in AEW. Now, that's still many years from now, but yeah, if he wants to get into wrestling, looks like he will most certainly have that opportunity. Calvin Bowman says, I remember watching Luke Harper the first time in WWE in 2013 with Bray and Eric. And Cleaver Colin Andrews says, what a tribute show. And Cindy said regarding -1, he has a bright future ahead. Absolutely. And after the match was over, you had the Acclaimed show up, the tag team that's doing the John Cena rapping freestyling gimmick. They came out and basically they tried to crash the party, but SCU attacked them and threw them into the ring. Acclaimed got hit with super kicks, and then Colt Cabana did the dusty elbows, and -1 was there at ringside. He was enjoying what was going on. He was having a good time. We had Darby Allin say a few words about Brodie Lee. Talked about how he always wanted to wrestle Brodie Lee, and sadly, he never got the chance to do it. He praised Brodie for not having an ego, and he was there for the right reasons. He wanted to elevate everyone around him instead of trying to take a spot. Nice little speech here from Darby. And we had a 6-man tag team match, another one. We had Eddie Kingston, the Butcher, and the Blade against Lance Archer, Evil Uno, and Stu Grayson. You had Lance Archer out there wearing the Luke Harper gear. He had the wife beater. And actually, I think the gear goes back before WWE when he was originally Brodie Lee. But yeah, the old school gear with the wife beater and the towel in the back pocket deal. Eddie Kingston got on the mic and he said he loves Brodie. He had to get a little bit heelish here and say the Dark Order, however, is nothing without him. So we had the match, and Jericho on commentary mentioned how Brodie was one of those guys just like Owen Hart and Eddie Guerrero that was loved by everyone. And during the match, Jake Roberts got involved a little bit. He grabbed Blade's foot, and Uno and Grayson ended up picking up the win with the fatality, pinning Blade. After the match was over, everybody took shots at Eddie Kingston, and Jake the Snake Roberts even busted out the old short-armed clothesline that he used to do back in the day as the prelude to the DDT. Pretty cool there to see Jake get a little bit physical on this special night. And as Cindy mentioned, yes, Brodie wore that gear back on the indies prior to WWE, so it actually does predate the Luke Harper character. And the Amazing Spider Guy 99 says, I cannot believe how athletic Brodie Lee was. I honestly cannot see how WWE never made him a main eventer. That's one of those questions that I guess only Vince McMahon could answer, because at the end of the day, it was his decision. It's always his decision who gets that spot and who doesn't. But a lot of people are always... The thing about Brodie Lee is people are always high on him going back to 2014, 2015. And if you guys remember back when you had the Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt storyline for WrestleMania 34 in Florida. Was it 33? 33. 33 in Florida. And Luke Harper was in that storyline a little bit. And I remember myself and others were like, Harper should be in this match. Make it a triple threat. Like, he was hot around that time, but he never got added. Instead, we got that awful match with the screens with the bugs and everything. Oh, that was terrible. But yeah, Luke Harper, they should have just done a straight up triple threat match with Luke Harper and give Luke Harper that big WrestleMania moment. But sadly, he did not get it. And as Tony H says with the $2 super chat, thank you, Tony. The biggest shame was no triple threat at WrestleMania 33. And a lot of other people in the chat also agreeing with that. We had a photo slideshow of various moments in Brodie Lee's life with narration from Dax Harwood, Arn Anderson, Colt Cabana, and referee Bryce Remsburg, who said that if there was a Mount Rushmore of dads, Brodie Lee would be on it. Very nice words from him. Next up, we had another six-man tag team match. A lot of actually all the matches were tag matches. We had Adam Page, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds, who they've actually been a team in recent weeks, up against the Inner Circle, MJF, Santana, and Ortiz. MJF was trying to have the team spirit. He had the Puerto Rican flag on his ring gear. And once again, AEW showed some footage from the past, which tied into this match. Footage of MJF winning the Dynamite Diamond ring from last year when he beat Adam Page to win that ring. And right off the bat, they did a Being the Elite reference, which I will forgive it for this show, but traditionally, I don't like the BTE references because I think that AEW should not assume everybody watches it, but on this show, totally fine. They did the deal where Silver and Reynolds threw papers at the Inner Circle, which is something that Brodie Lee would do to the Dark Order members on Being the Elite. For those of you that don't watch it, that's what it was a reference to. And Jericho was pretty funny here. Jericho was like, these are foreign objects, you know, and he justified it by saying, you ever gotten a paper cut before? It hurts. And yeah, he's right. They do hurt. Paper cuts are no fun. And Nick Lavin in the chat room says, MJF, LOL, man, this guy is fantastic. And Cindy said, Bryce got me choked up when he cried. Yeah, for sure. We'll talk about that more in just a few minutes here. I will bring up what happened in the main event. But yeah, MJF was great here. MJF went to the outside of the ring and started yelling, trash talking Brodie's kid, -1. That was great. And Silver was total babyface in this match. He was getting the hot tag, and JR even called him the white meat babyface. You had Wardlow come down to the ring and attempt to interfere, and then we had the big surprise of the evening, Erick Rowan, as Jericho referred to him as several times. He's probably not going to get in trouble, and I doubt WWE will care because this was a tribute show. But if he does appear in the future, that would not be wise to call him Erick Rowan if you want to avoid getting a legal letter. But yeah, Erick Redbeard, Erick Rowan, whatever you want to call him, made his first appearance in AEW. I believe his first... I'm not sure if he's done any indie shows or anything, but this might have been his first appearance. Actually, maybe he did do one, but his first TV appearance for sure since leaving WWE. Coming out and doing the Iron Claw slam to Wardlow and that led to Silver scoring the pinfall victory using Brodie's discus lariat to pick up the victory. And then after the match was over, the tissues, they were put to use. You had Rowan come back into the ring. He was crying. He had this sign that said, "Goodbye for now, my brother." And you had Silver and Reynolds hugging each other. And Jericho was like, "This is real." He didn't even try to be in character. He's just like, "This is real life here, folks." And Paige was there. Everybody was hugging each other. Yeah. Really cool moment here to see Rowan, and it would be neat if he was around more often. Maybe he could be the new leader of the Dark Order. I have mixed feelings about like whether to continue the Dark Order or not. Can they even be heels now? Like, is anybody going to boo these guys after this night? Like, I'm not sure what you do from this point. Maybe you turn them all faces with Erick Redbeard as the new leader. What do you do? What's next for these guys? But I feel like they can't go back to being heels now. TJS with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, TJS. I appreciate it. He says, "My heart is broken. I ordered my Brodie tribute shirt before PWT went down. Haven't been this upset since Connor the Crusher, the good die young." Well said there, TJS. Vin Barron said, "Once I saw Rowan cry, I was done." Yeah, there's something about a large, intimidating-looking guy breaking down and crying, like, that will break you, because that's supposed to be the last guy you will ever see get emotional. And how can he even be a heel if he is going to be in AEW as a regular? And I guess that remains to be seen. And Psycho Jet Black says the Dark Order becomes the Light Order, helping out other faces. Well, yeah, they could do that. They could take the gimmick in a new direction. They become the Light Order, and yeah, something to think about, I suppose. We had Eddie Kingston breaking his heel persona for a tribute to Brodie Lee, and he said that as long as they remember Brodie Lee, he's not gone. He's always there, and he called Brodie a warrior both in and out of the ring, and a guy who took care of his family. And that's something that not a lot of people will do. Really, really passionate speech here from Eddie Kingston, straight from the heart. We had a tag team match, an actual 2-on-2 match. We had 99 and Ty Conti versus Britt Baker and Penelope Ford. And Jericho mentioned the crowd size. Apparently this was the biggest crowd for AEW since the pandemic started. And I believe they had some walk-up tickets available for anybody that was in the area and wanted to attend. So they're upping up the attendance a little bit, but probably not enough to where it's going to be dangerous for people, hopefully. But yeah, the crowd was good tonight. The crowd was definitely energetic, and they were very much into the show, which was, a nice addition. Anna Jay was getting very emotional, 99. She was having a little bit of a tough time, but she did get it together and picked up the win with the sleeper hold submission on Ford. Ford tapped out, and then after the match, Britt Baker was very angry. She called Tony Schiavone to the ring. She called what happened a conspiracy. This was a reference to Donald Trump, which might upset some people, but she was talking about how the whole situation was rigged. And of course, we all know the scenario with Donald Trump and the election. So yeah, this was like a little reference to that. Thunder Rosa ended up attacking her, and we had a little bit of a continuation. One thing about this show too is, the Owen Hart and Eddie Guerrero tributes, there were no storyline developments. Like it was just a straight show, no gimmicks, just straight wrestling matches. AEW, they were very classy with how they handled everything, and plus, on top of it, they managed to keep storylines going too, whenever possible, whenever it was appropriate. And I thought they did a very good job finding the right moments to advance storylines while not tainting the tribute to Brodie Lee. So yeah, I thought everything was really well done here and well thought out from AEW. And Noah Foster sent in a very generous $20 super chat. Thank you for that, Noah. Much appreciated. He says, what a way to end 2020. Yeah, and it's bittersweet. I mean, this was a great show and very well done from AEW, but obviously we would prefer to have Brodie Lee with us. But yeah, if you're going to try and end the year on a positive, I mean, this was the way to go and give people some optimism and just send the message that life is short and you need to make the most of it and not take any days for granted. Try to make each day the best day you possibly can. And I think that AEW very much got that message across to everybody. John Stewart with a comment here says, R.I.P. Brodie Lee. We love you all and you will not be forgotten. You are still here with us and in our hearts. My condolences for the family of Brodie Lee. And the Amazing Spider Guy 99 says, this is so sad. I was expecting to see him at WWE's anniversary show 20 years from now with the Wyatt family. And we had Chris Jericho do his speech for Brodie Lee and said that he worked with him 27 times. And that's something that Alex Marvez gave him as far as a stat goes. I wonder if Greg Cherry knew that. Wrestling Trivia Champion. By the way, quick plug for Greg. At Greg Cherry Brand, he just announced a new Wrestling Trivia Challenge tournament, which will be taking place. So follow him and follow his channel at Greg Cherry Brand on YouTube. Jericho talked about how Brodie was a very smart, intelligent giant, one of the best performers in the ring, and a guy who proved he could be a main event star. And then brought up the story that he did on social media about how even his dog, who apparently doesn't like people, actually took a liking to John, a.k.a. Brodie Lee. Oh, and by the way, I totally forgot to mention this from earlier with MJF. I forgot the punchline. He was talking trash to -1, and then at the very end, -1 hit MJF with the kendo stick. And MJF did a great sell job of it, too. I thought that was very entertaining. So, yeah, thank you for reminding me about that, Rodney, in the chat room. I totally missed that one when I was recapping the match. Then we had our main event of the evening, Team Taz up against Cody Rhodes, Orange Cassidy, and 10. And as I mentioned earlier, this was the match that Brodie's son wanted to have as the main event, his dream match with his favorite wrestlers. And the story in this match was the pressure was on 10 because the Dark Order up to this point had a clean sweep and they were going for 5-5. So 10 really had to step up to the plate. And I like that they acknowledged this because it did kind of, help get 10 over as this guy who had to perform under pressure and not choke. So I thought that this was well done. And Taz ended up grabbing a steel chair. Arn Anderson got a steel chair. We had a little bit of a standoff. And Orange Cassidy came in with a Superman punch to Starks. Starks got hit with the crossroads. And then 10 hit the spine buster and picked up the win. After the match was over, Hook, Taz's son, jumped the ring and Team Taz got the upper hand. They started beating down the faces. Then the lights went out. Darby Allin appeared. Lights went out again. It started snowing. And you know what that means. Sting was in the house. Sting and Darby Allin came to the ring. All the baby faces were in the ring. And there was a face-off between them and Team Taz. Maybe we'll get a cinematic match with them at some point. Sting apparently will be doing cinematic matches in AEW. And Psycho Jet Black says, Prime Taz versus Arn Anderson would have been great. And Cindy says, beautiful moment. I agree. After the commercial break, we had the final segment of the evening, which was Cody Rhodes in the ring. He brought up all of the stories about how Brodie positively affected everyone, called him a beautiful man with a beautiful legacy, and he introduced -1 Brodie Lee Jr., who came out with his mom, and Tony Khan, 10 was out there as well. They laid Brodie's boots in the ring, and then Tony gave -1 the TNT Championship, said he is a champion for life. Really cool moment here. And then Tony introduced a final tribute. We had a video package for Brodie. Lots of different clips of him early in his career, even some what appeared to be backyard wrestling footage. And we had a lot of stills with his family and with various wrestlers. And we even had some WWE wrestlers represented here. We had a picture of Brodie with, as Luke Harper, with Erick Rowan and with Bray Wyatt. There was a picture with Seth Rollins. So a lot of WWE people were shown during this video package. And it was great. The video package was very well done. And yeah, perfect ending. Beautiful tribute, like I said. Definitely worth taking time to watch. Even if you weren't the biggest Brodie Lee fan, it was very classy, very well done. Loyalty Clark says, rest in peace. And Curtis Butler says, great tribute. And D. Ross 2 says, I liked how they ended the show with Brodie's family. And Anthony, no, the TNT title is not retired. I think they're just giving him the replica, just presenting him with the championship as something for him personally to have. And Tony even had a line like how Brodie was the greatest TNT champion of all time. No offense to Cody. I did get a laugh out of that. So yeah, great stuff here from AEW. And I know some people were down on WWE, but apparently WWE did record some footage, and they apparently will be airing a video tribute. I'm not sure if it's going to be on Smackdown or if it will be on the WWE Network, but apparently WWE does have something. And you know what? It's fine. Let AEW do it, because Brodie Lee was an active performer with the company. He had left WWE, but yeah, WWE is going to have some stuff for him, and they've done tributes on social media for him. Everybody really coming together here for Brodie. Very, very cool to honor him and his family. Big thumbs up here for all this. It was fantastic. Now, real quick, I do want to address the NXT year-end awards. Really, nothing much happened on NXT, and I wasn't expecting it because of what AEW was doing. The NXT show, I had it on, but it didn't appear like much was going down. I did see the Lucha House Party showed up, but we had the NXT year-end awards. Shotzi Blackheart won the Breakout Star of the Year award, which, yeah, I would agree with that. I definitely think she has real potential to be the top star in NXT going forward. Like, she has shown so much personality. When she did the hosting for Halloween Havoc, I was very impressed with it, and I felt like she could not only be the star of NXT, like I think she can be a big star in the main roster. She has that charisma and personality that I think will push her to the top in WWE, not just NXT, but on the main roster as well. Hopefully they don't blow it, and that's something we always talk about. Rivalry of the year was Adam Cole versus Pat McAfee, which, considering what they did, those were two awesome matches, both the singles match and then the War Games match. So again, I really don't have any argument about that one. I'm definitely in agreement with that. Tag Team of the Year, Undisputed Era. Probably, looking at the other choices here, they weren't a tag team for the entire year, but when they were a team, I would say that they were at the top. So yeah, I would probably go with them as well. Male competitor of the year was Adam Cole, and keep in mind he was champ for the first half of the year and then had those great matches with Pat McAfee. So again, I agree with it. Female competitor of the year, Io Shirai. Poor Rhea Ripley. Like, she was at WrestleMania, but yeah, went to Io Shirai, who has had a great year. I just feel bad that Rhea Ripley, I mean, really last year was Rhea Ripley's breakout year, and she should be on the main roster, but we've talked about that numerous times over the past several months. And overall competitor of the year went to Io Shirai, which I thought was a little interesting. But, I mean, I probably would have gone with Adam Cole. But, you know, Io Shirai had a great year, so it's all good. Event of the year went to TakeOver War Games, which, of the pandemic shows, I would probably go with that. But Halloween Havoc, I really loved. And I know it wasn't a takeover, but I just thought Halloween Havoc was such an entertaining show. And then, of course, NXT Portland was just fantastic. And that was the last show before the pandemic. So I'd probably go with Portland just because it was the last pre-pandemic show with a crowd. But if we're talking about pandemic shows, yeah, I'd probably go with War Games or Halloween Havoc. And then the Future Star of NXT award, I guess this is the future breakout star. Austin Theory won that. And, okay, we'll see. I mean, I'd probably go with him of everybody on this list. And then match of the year was Finn Balor versus Kyle O'Reilly from TakeOver 31, which a lot of people really loved that match. But again, I think I would probably go with one of the Portland matches, maybe the tag team title match with Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle, just because you had the fans there. So as far as pandemic matches would go, maybe that match, maybe one of the War Games matches. Although, okay, so they included Dragunov versus Walter, which I would probably put that ahead of Balor versus O'Reilly. So just as far as those two matches go, I would pick Dragunov and Walter over that. Now I'm just looking. There were a lot of matches. There's something like 15 matches on this list. And to be totally honest with you guys, I don't remember a lot of these matches. So just looking at these matches and what I actually remember and what stuck out to me, like that Dragunov Walter match was unbelievable. And Balor and O'Reilly was great too. But yeah, I think I would give the edge to the NXT UK match. And of course the War Games matches, very memorable as well. So that was the NXT year-end awards, which they did. And next week is the New Year's Evil show, and New Year's Smash is the AEW show. Definitely curious to see the viewership numbers for this week. Like, I feel like AEW might break 1 million this week. Not the way they would want to break 1 million, but wouldn't shock me if they did a really big number this week. And NXT's probably going to do, well, they'll probably do their usual 600,000. Just because I think it's a very core audience and maybe a few people from NXT tuned into AEW. But yeah, I sense AEW will do a really good number. We'll see though. And like Ace in his familiar vlog said, doesn't matter. Like this week, it's not about the ratings. So we're not going to argue, wow, AEW destroyed NXT, you know. It's not the week for that. So anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I will be back New Year's Eve. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I will be doing No DQ&A live. You guys have been asking for another Q&A video. I will be answering questions straight from the chat room. Anything regarding 2020. The theme will be 2020, the best moments, the worst moments. Anything you want to ask me about 2020 in WWE and AEW. We'll recap the entire year and we'll We'll end 2020 on the best note possible. Try to have some fun moments and just a good wrestling discussion about 2020. Tune in for that. 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, New Year's Eve. And thank you guys again. Have a great rest of your week. Happy New Year. And stay positive. Be safe. I will see you guys next time.